Good morning, everybody. I thought I would do a go live because I haven't done one in a while. It's been crazy busy, awesome. I was sitting here reflecting on my year and any which way. I'm trying to get in the habit, hey Kelly, of doing more, being more, all that good stuff. So just thought I would kind of go over what I was going over this morning. This year's been a whirlwind of an amazing year, to say the very least. I've talked at different times about opportunities, about business, about marketing, about goal setting, about journaling, and a lot of y'all have seen my posts on the house and the sunrises and things like that. And so as December rolls around, I always try to reflect on the year that I've had. And so I thought this was just kind of apropos because, so often I don't know, I like to plan out what I'm going to talk about, and I do the PowerPoint. Everybody's seen the YouTube channel and had all those discussions and stuff, but we've had so much happen in the last 6 months that it's been beyond epic. And I just thought I would share some insights into it. And many of y'all have been following and have seen that we moved to the lake, and then I went to a seminar, a lot of seminars actually this year, since July, August, September, October, November. I don't have one in December, but I do have one in January. And it's just been interesting because so much has happened so fast. And people are like, I've got people asking like, what's the key? What's the secret? What's the whole bit? And, it's nothing new. Everybody says, the difference between you today and you in 5 years is the books you read and the people you know. And I knew that. I'd kind of stepped away and kind of went hermit mode to learn some things and self-reflect, but I got stuck there. And one of my coaches, and I highly recommend, if you don't have a coach, you're not going to go forward. And it doesn't have to be like I'm paying this person a huge sum of money to up-level my game. Coaching can be something as simple as friends that become mentors in different areas. We mentor a lot of people. We have definitely some high-end coaching that we do. But I'm just going to throw this out first and foremost. Some of you saw the thing that I said, thank you, Balazs Cardos. He's been a friend for, 6, 7, 8 years. And he really started to challenge me probably 3 years ago. And, he's been involved with the Nagic. We met in Japan. And he just kind of reached out and he's like, hey, Doc, we've been friends for a while, and I hope I can say this to you. He says, you're not reaching your potential. And I was like, I'm good where I'm at. And he goes, yeah, but there's people that need you to reach your potential. And I'm like, you have that thinking that I'm not necessarily good enough to do X, Y, Z, or you see yourself a certain way. And he reached out, and so in that venue, we became involved with some different coaches and did some different things. And, I got in line with the Affiliate Institute. At the time it was GAZ, and Matthew Jang was another coach. He really encouraged me to start reading again. And I was like, I don't know why I quit reading so much. And then I realized it was because my eyes. I was like, oh, wow, I got a pair of reading glasses. And I was like, oh, I'm that age. And started to read books again. And it changed a bunch of things for me. So I just thought I would give you all the information of what I've learned in the books that I did. The first one that started it off for Abigail and I would be The Magic. And it is really all about gratitude. And I know it sounds like a broken record, and it's kind of cheesy because everybody says, oh, you got to get your gratitude. You got to focus in on what you got. It's true. You really, really do. And I would have considered myself a grateful person because I have a lot to be grateful for, where I'm at in life. Not necessarily the lake house, but even for the last few years, just great family. I worked online. I had lots of freedom. I could travel. And when I started to do the magic, Abby and I did it together, and it really makes you focus in on what's really, really good in your life. And because sometimes it seems like a battle of, well, here's what's going right, and here's the stuff that needs to be fixed, and what's wrong, and et cetera, et cetera. And really, there's nothing wrong. Everybody has challenges. But if you're not busy and you're not focused on where you're going, the challenges seem bigger. If you're busy, they're just things that have to be taken care of. So that was a really big thing. And then, I have read, you can see I've just about worn this book out. I mean, it's marked up, but it's Think and Grow Rich. A few years back, we had that when Jackie turned 18. She's like, somebody said, so, and we all have that. I had a friend from Australia that just said, so my son's turning 16. If I could give him one piece of advice, what would it be? And, this book was the advice that I gave Jackie. I actually, it was posed to me like, okay, so you could send one thing back in time to your 18-year-old self. What would it be? And I said, I would write a big old note here in the front, and it would be written to myself so I'd recognize the handwriting. And so when Jackie turned 18, I gave her a leather-bound edition of that book, and I wrote down all the things as I signed the book. Read it regularly, run your process, learn to understand it, think what you're going to do. If you're not careful, your thoughts will run away from you. And it is so true. You have to think and grow to become rich. And it's not just about money. I freely admit I measure my success by my cash flow and my money, but I measure my happiness by my family and by my friends and by my connections. And it is different. Happiness and success go hand in hand, but I have a successful marriage, and I get all that, but I measure my own personal success by my money, my influence, the people that I help. I measure my happiness by the joy in my children's eyes and my wife's eyes. It's a little bit different than some, but that's what it works for me. And so your life right now, where you are at, hey, good morning, Rick. Hey, Christina. You really have to look at where you're at in your life. And if you're not where you want to be, you have to realize that you are in your life what you're putting out. And some people were like, well, you've had a lot of challenges. You were in the hospital, and those things that were out of your control. They were, to a degree, out of my control, and they were unexpected. But, I've always wanted to have a life where I really helped inspire and lead other people. And in order to become that, you get certain challenges. And so for me, that was a really big deal, that realized that, wow, I'm really in control of my circumstances, where I'm at. My thoughts are creating my reality. Hey, Jack. And it was just interesting because there were so many times like, man, when is this going to pass? When is this going to get over? And really I was focused in on what it was. So I prolonged it. And as soon as I changed my thinking, it made a difference, which led us into the next one, that this book kind of blew my mind. This was a Matthew Jang book, and he told me to read it, and he did it, as part of the automated affiliate system for journaling, goal setting, and getting ahead. And it was just kind of like, happy pocket full of money. Well, the day that I read it, I said, okay, I'm going to start reading. So actually, I got the glasses, to be honest. And I said, okay, I'm going to take the top 4 books that Matthew recommended, and I'm going to read a chapter a day in each one. And it changed my life. But this book, from having, grown up kind of I didn't grow up in the South, but I grew up in a Christian home and things like that. And so money, manifesting, wealth, the love of money, all those things were like twisted around in my head. And this is a very, very good book if you want to understand where you're at, where you've come from, and how you've been perhaps programmed incorrectly by other people's perspectives of things, and how you can actually get busy being happy and successful in the here and now and not have to wait. So, Happy Pocket Full of Money, that was another book that Abigail and I did. this is one that Abby and I have done, I don't know, for probably 10 years. We've used it clinically, but it's Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And a lot of times you look at things and you're like, what's going on? And the reality is when we're taking care of clients, what you've got going on physically is a physical manifestation of what you're feeling and thinking about emotionally. So for instance, knee problems and leg problems or fear of going forward, or some people will say, oh, I'm breaking my back at work and they have back pain. People are like, their shoulders hurt because they're carrying a load that's not them. So it's an interesting way to look at things and evaluate people. And it's one of the first things we go to when people go, I have this problem. I'll go, do you have this issue? And they're like, as a matter of fact, I do. And it was just an interesting way because thoughts are things and they create realities. And your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body are all tied together. And this is a really good way to look and go, what's going on and why do I feel this way? The book that Abby and I are currently just thoroughly engrossed in is Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. It's about meditation. It's about the journey of the mind and the heart and our belief systems and the way that we work and the way that our thoughts actually create. Very scientific in a lot of ways, but very, very teachable and reproducible. We've gotten to the point where meditation is a really big part of our lives every single day. And so I can't recommend this enough. If you're looking to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, even financially, this book is going to help you understand what's going on with you when you start to meditate. It isn't just like, I'm going to sit here and meditate and become wealthy. It's not that at all. It's the physiology that changes. I'm going to sit here and meditate and become healthy. Yes, you are. How do you change those thought processes? And what thought processes have been imprinted with you that are causing your current level of issues? Our brains and our minds are so powerful that we really are creating our realities. And, there's some people that create magnificent realities and there's people that create miserable realities. And once you get to the realization that you can actually play a part in that, and that where you at is your responsibility and you can control and make those changes, is huge. Another one that had more ramifications than I expected was 80-20 Sales and Marketing. And I bought it because it sounded really good and a friend recommended it. And it was talking about how 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients and there's another 80-20. But once you get into the book, he doesn't even talk about that. He's talking about how your entire life is based on the 80-20 principle. Spend 80% of your time with the people you love, and that'll create, more good in your life than you can imagine. The 20% that you focus in on the most creates 80% of your results. The people that are the 20% of the people in your life that are closest create 80% of your happiness. And so it was just a really interesting concept, and we've turned it into a way that's what we look at every day. So, 80% of your time can't really be invested in everybody. But, the time that I do have with, for instance, Sophie, Skylar, Lexi, Connor, Jackie, Abby, I make sure that 20% is very, very top shelf stuff so that I don't have hundreds and 100% of the issues. And so you can really go forward and use this in your life. And it's interesting because I used to journal a lot. I don't know if you do. I highly recommend that you start. I actually was one of my coach's mentors. She didn't even know this. Her name is Christy Ord now. Christy Morgan. Clinton Christie are from Australia, and she did a thing on journaling. And so I got my first big journal going. And then these are the journals that I've had for 2019. There's 5 of them. And you really dive into it, and it really recommended that you ask yourself better questions. Because if you're not happy with where you're at, you're asking yourself the wrong question. So I would recommend get some good books, get meditating, and get a journal and start asking yourself those questions. And when you start to ask yourself the hard questions, the coaches and mentors will show up in your life. Like I said, I just mentioned Clinton Christie. We went to Australia with them, and they have just created a phenomenal culture down there in the Freedom Collective. And Balazs Cardos just kind of called me out on the carpet. Matthew Jang pointed me in the direction of some great books to fix my own mindset. And, some other coaches that I've had this year that I can't recommend enough. Mark Lack is genius in what he does, and he's an amazing individual, helping me with some social media stuff and get it back on track and branding. Some of y'all have seen some of the changes that we're making. That's a really big piece. Another phenomenal coach that actually came through Gaz and Affiliate Institute through Balazs and Matthew was Michael Burnoff. He was a guest speaker. He does the human interaction techniques, and he talks about NLP, and he talks about, how you can change your mind and change your actions and change your words, and about becoming 1% better today than you were yesterday, but not as good as you'll be tomorrow. And, what are the things and changes you can make in the words you use and the way that you use them with yourself, with your spouse, with your children, with the people around you, with your clients. It was just a phenomenal opportunity. I was out there, I guess in September, October, and it was just mind-boggling. It was October, I guess. And his ability to kind of help you focus in. It was called Core Strengths, and he has a program that's called Call to Action. If you call his office, just tell him Dr. Michael sent you. But it really gets you back to the belief system, because as we were getting ready to grow, I kind of went looking for one thing. And I was looking for, what's my core strength? What's my core belief? Is I'm looking to go into the global market, and we're looking to start coaching and a lot more online programs and our executive coaching. And I kind of was looking for, what makes me feel great? And it was indirectly. And one of my blockages was, for love or money. We kind of have that you can't have it all mindset. And as I'm going through this thing, it came to the realization that my children and my family are really my core. You want up, Callie? Come on. Come on. And my family is my core issue. It's my core belief. It's my strength. When it's good, everything else is good. When it's not, everything else falls apart. And that was a big deal. And it was interesting because as we were looking to scale up and help a lot more people and put programs together to do more things, it was just great to see how you can have it all. You can have love and money, and you can use your money to help more people, and what it is that we want to help, and who it is that we want to help, and what we want to do. And so Ab and I had some great conversations about that one. Another coach that I've had this year, I did some programs with Russell Brunson. He's from ClickFunnels, and he's just, again, really well balanced, all about his family, all about helping other people. Hey, Abby, what's up, girl? And so yeah, it was just amazing to see how you can create automation and create time for your life, for your family, for the things that are important for you. Recently got involved with Mega Success and JT Fox through the Success Resources. Just came back from LA, and the opportunity to grow and to meet and interview celebrities and talk to people. What was amazing for me was, here I am going out to interview some celebrities, and I got the opportunity he set up the opportunity for me to do an interview with Dr. Phil, and it was just amazing. And then, Jillian Michaels and Andrea Nevada and Vince Vaughn, and we got to meet. What surprised me was how far-reaching the stuff that I had done had gone, because it was amazing to me the number of them that were like, hey, you're Dr. Michael from Explains the Water. You know who I am? It was just crazy. And so you don't realize just how important what you're doing and how far-reaching it can be. And so, as I kept up-leveling my game, a couple other coaches, Brent Turley, he just kind of was like, here's exactly the way you need to do it, what you need to run with. Dan Eckelman, Brent, and Eric all work with JT, and there's some coaches, and they've talked about whether it's the speaking side, how to frame it up to do your business. Abby and I, we were looking at doing like Dr. Michael Explains, and then we realized that when we're in these environments that Abby and I have been through so much, especially with Skylar having been in the hospital for a year, home health care for a year, almost losing her. We put so many strategies in place to protect her and I and the children that people were like, you really need to show people what you did. And we're like, we survived? And they were like, yeah, you did. And in this world and environment, that's a big deal. People that have children in a hospital, 98% end up divorced if their child's been in the hospital for a year. And they're like, you guys are like, somebody asked us, like, so how long you guys been married? We're like, yeah, we've been together 13, 14 years. And they're like, you guys are like newlyweds. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the secret to a happy marriage. And they said, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, I got her to say yes, which means she wanted it to be me for the rest of her life because whatever I was doing raised the bar enough. And so you just kind of keep doing those things. In marriage, people are like, yeah, it's kind of lost its zing. No, you just stop doing the things that made you want to spend the time with them. Ab and I do those things every day. We do things like, as crazy busy it is, we've got a couple businesses. We've got 5 kids in school. We've got a house. We've got a newborn. And, well, not a newborn. She's 1 now. But we make time when there is no time. And people go like, how do you make time when there is no time? I bathe every day. So does Abby. So we take showers together. Why? Because we can. They're not long showers, but, that's what we call the non-sexual intimacy and how we're together physically, staying in touch, staying in contact. Ab likes salt scrubs. I thought, yeah, I'll give her one. She gave me one, and I was like, oh, damn, I like these. And so it's these little things that we do several times a week that keep it live, that keep it fresh. And so, when we were there, they're like, you could do, your whole Make a Life Worth Living, which is one of our companies that we were really looking to develop that hadn't. They said, you could be doctors, Make a Life Worth Living with Doctors Michael and Abigail, and just tell us all the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial stuff that you've done and been through because you've been through the ringer and you came out. And yes, you survived. And so, hey, Natasha. And so it was interesting to see other people's perspective. And so we're in this big conference and there's millionaires and billionaires and people all over. And they're like, yeah, we really need this. If somebody had given us a roadmap, this would have been way better. And, we can really get behind that. And so that Make a Life Worth Living, it's really family-focused executive coaching where people that are in their job, they're doing what they love, but they're sacrificing their health and their wealth, and their family is suffering, and they're like, well, how do I regroup, and how do I automate, and how do I fix these things? And we're like, well, all you got to do is this. And they kept saying to us, you need to start a show. And we would have a conversation, and somebody would throw out a hot topic, and I had a perspective, and Abby had a perspective, and we had our little banter, and we kept having these people just watching us, and it's like, you really need to start doing stuff like that. So we're definitely going to be integrating that here in the very near future with our YouTube channel and just creating, give you a look into our lives and what we've done and how we've done it to get where we're at. Just to kind of, mention some other coaches. Met a powerhouse when we were down in Australia with Clinton Christie. Her name was Philippa Warangi, and she's out there empowering women like there's no tomorrow. She invited me into some of her groups. We had some great conversations. Dr. Katie Henry was another great one. She's kind of got that whole how to reframe and change your state really fast. Yeah, I know. Scared you did it, baby. I'm jolly. But, there's just been a long line of coaches. And, in listening to JT and talk about the coaching, you know what? If you want to level up and improve your game, no matter what it is, you've got to have coaching. You've got to have somebody that's been where you're at. Now, they don't have to finish the book, but they're going to be a chapter ahead. You know, and so many times when you want to start helping people, you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. No, you're never good enough. Hey, Matt, how's Ohio? Abby and I were talking about you the other day. And so when you get good coaching, it helps you level up. And it was interesting because when I was in chiropractic and I was in full-time practice, I always had coaches, practice coaches, management coaches, business coaches. And then I got to the point where I was coaching other chiropractors, and for some reason I'm like, well, now I'm a coach, so I don't need to be coached anymore. And that's just not the case. You now need coaches more. You need mentors more. If you look at any professional, like take football, for instance, there's an offensive coach, there's a defensive coach. There's the assistant coaches, so there's coaches within coaches. There's the kicking coach, the quarterback coach, the throwing coach, the blocking coach. There's just coaches for all these different niches. And so instead of just having one coach that's like, let's go, you need a coach that's like, no, you're doing that wrong. If you do it this way, you can improve your life. If it's your family, how much time do you spend reading books on your relationship? How much time do you spend reading books on your career? A lot of people I know get into business and they're like, I got my degree, I don't read anymore. And that's why they're struggling. And so get yourself good coaches. Get yourself some good books. Start journaling. If you're having a problem with anything, it's not something elaborate. I buy mine at Walmart for like $7 or $6 because I'm going to go through them, and I get them without lines because some days my journaling involves lots of doodling, and other days it's like I just write. But if you're Christy said it best, when you journal, you're having a conversation with your higher self. And when I thought about that, it's like, wow, that's really true. So if you have the opportunity, get some journaling, get some good books, and you'll start making a dramatic change in your life. It wasn't so long ago that while we had been successful online, we just got frustrated, we got stagnant, we weren't helping people, we weren't growing, we were frustrated with our kids, our home, all those things. And we realized that, oh, maybe we need to look inside a little bit. Get the magic. Get Happy Pocket Full of Money. Get Think and Grow Rich, Supernatural. And read one chapter a day. Now, I started to do these things before my life was as nice as it is now. And I'm not going to lie, it's amazing. I've literally made a life worth living. But I got up earlier and I started with the gratitude, and I pictured myself and I visualized myself. And I started to look at the things that I wanted. And what amazed me was how many opportunities were provided for me to get there. But I still had to take the opportunity. We have an amazing luxury home on the lake. It literally appeared 3 days. We had a deal fall through, and this one just appeared like the week before we closed. But we had to be willing to put the money down to have it. Like, nobody's just going to give it to you. You're not just going to be given success. You have to grow into the person that is more successful. You have to reach for something better than you are and not beat yourself up for where you're at or where you've been. What happened to you was an event. That's part of your story. What you do with it is up to you. Use it to help other people. And these are the books, like I said, that I started to read. And if you read something, journal it. Again, The Magic, Happy Pocket Full of Money, Think and Grow Rich, Supernatural, Feeling Spirit Alive, and 80/20. You start reading those and journaling those, you'll ask yourself the better questions. Do yourself a favor when somebody says, what do you want for Christmas? Ask for a book and a journal. You might end up with, and just say, hey, I've got this book. These are the books that I want. And you know what? If you end up with 10 journals, great. Try to go through one a month. I went through 4 journals this year. My goal is to go through 8 next year. I'll grow more, and I'll be more, and I'll help more. So I hope this helps you. I hope this is inspiring. You can go to makealifeworthliving.com. That's the new website for Dr. Abby and I. It's our coaching platform and all the stuff that we've used to keep us going, whether it's water and diet, exercise, nutrition, the brain tap, ketone, all the different things that we've personally used are listed on the website. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. We've got an email and a server there. There's also a 3-day coaching program. If you want to just take a look and say, hey, it's free, there's no like gimmick, tells you how to get your time together, get your finances together, and start some goal setting. I included a goal setting package that I used to charge chiropractors $5,000 to come in for a 2-day. And we take their goals and we tear their whole system apart to say, here's where you're at, and here's a strategy to get there. And so it's all there. If I can help you, reach out. Other than that, y'all have a great day, and enjoy your Christmas and your holiday season. Thanks.